All right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back for another week of Just a Fan Podcast. Man, I need to get me a new headset and with microphone so I can run my soundboard again. I missed that thing.
I have to be honest when I say I do not miss that thing.
Hey man, sure, I'm gonna make that priority this weekend, man. So yeah, T Money, when you watch the show, man, we're gonna talk this weekend, man. Anyway, if you don't get on, I am quarter host, NFL Encyclopedia, Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing, Coach Williams. That direction is a defensive-minded guy, guru. Panel 316. He sees everything on that football field as a Mike linebacker. What's up, man?
Oh no, Mike linebacker now. Okay. Yeah, man.
All right, so y'all can tell by the title, we're gonna have a recap of the 2023 NFL draft that wrapped up over the weekend. It was 3 days: Thursday night, round 1, Friday night, rounds 2 and 3, Saturday afternoon through the evening hours, rounds 4 through 7. Immediately after the final pick, the Mr. Irrelevant pick, they started throwing in those rookie free agents.
That's where it got interesting.
And those names were going off the board like boom, 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 boom. And then last couple of days, players have been invited to what is called rookie mini camps. And rookie mini camps should be starting either this weekend or the following weekend, depending on what the team decided to do. If y'all not familiar with rookie mini camps, those are just mini camps for rookies or for guys who didn't play too much their rookie years, and they in the second season now. So those basically what rookie mini camps are. They wear helmets and shorts, and that's about it. They just go over installs. So anyway, Pando, what do you think is one of the best picks of the 2023 NFL draft this year?
Well, it's not so much the picks, a specific pick, in my opinion.
Okay.
I feel like it was certain teams' drafts as a whole.
Okay.
And right off the top of my head, you have to look at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
That can't be overlooked. Even though they just went and just drafted, the entire roster on defense from Georgia.
Yep.
Which is kind of okay. And most people think it was crazy, but one thing I can say is that these guys aren't bad players. They're good players. They just happen to be from Georgia.
Exactly.
So, I think they had a good draft. Now, that being said, before we go any further with that, I also feel like people need to pump their brakes a little bit because there are a lot of people. I'm looking at you, Eagles fans. There are a lot of people who basically, kind of got that, we finna win it all. I've seen it on social media. Oh, the Eagles, we finna win it all. We did this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I had to make a counter post because I'm just that guy. That's what I do. I'm like, remember when they handed out Lombardi trophies in April?
Uh-oh.
Me either.
Hey, look, My one thing I learned a long time ago is that one thing I've learned a long time ago is that a piece of paper, just because your name is written down on a piece of paper, doesn't mean that you're going to win the Super Bowl. Because piece of paper don't win a championship. You still got to play the game.
Facts. So now I want to be clear because I want to be like, he hating, he this, that, and I'm not saying that the Eagles can't be a really good team. They already were a good team. I mean, they made it to a Super Bowl. They lost it in the last few minutes of the game, realistically speaking. Um, you know, I'm not saying that they couldn't just jump up and be this great team again with the additions that they have, but at the same time, you still have to line up and play.
Yes, you do.
You got to play a 17 game schedule. And I made a post about it on our TikTok page, and I talked about it. I hadn't even gone back to see if there's been any comments about it, but you still gotta play the games. I know you got this guy and that guy on your roster, and this guy's supposed to be an upgrade, and this from what you had before, and this guy, does this better, and hey, our quarterback is playing better now, which is true because Jalen Hurts is playing really well, and he just keeps getting better every year. Not knocking it, but you still got to line up and play the games. So getting off of the Eagles because I'm giving them way too much press right now. They got enough press on their own. Basically, the Texans had a really good draft,
especially in that first round.
Yes, what they did in then those first couple of picks was really good. They went and got their quarterback, CJ Stroud, which I have my opinions. If Tristan comes in later on, he's going to talk about the quarterbacks in this draft. But my opinions, cautiously optimistic Texans fan. What up, Cleve? What's happening? Yeah, I feel some type of way about all the quarterbacks that were taken in this draft. And I said it before the draft. I'm like, a lot of these quarterbacks are not day one starters. They could develop into something that could be fantastic, but I don't think they're day one starters. And I'm going to stick to my guns on that. But if you're going to pick a quarterback, CJ Stroud, you could do worse. And then they turn around, traded back to the third pick and got Will Anderson, who was arguably the best defensive player in the draft.
Yes.
That's on paper, that's doing it right. These guys could flop tremendously.
Yes.
I don't think they will, but they can flop tremendously. And then they'll be, we can't just say, oh, they won the draft. I can't stand the term winning the draft. Anybody who uses that term is like, stop doing that. Because you really don't know how well you drafted or how good of a draft you had until at the very least 3 years into the.
Yes, 3. Oh, definitely 3 years.
Sometimes it's 4 or 5. Like prime example, and not to pontificate and go on forever and ever, but prime example, the class of 2020, the 2020 draft.
Yes.
I believe there's been over 20 players in that draft that have not had their 5th-year option picked up. But a lot of these guys that were drafted, people's like, oh, yeah, they won the draft. Oh, they did this by picking this guy. They ain't picking up the 5th-year option on these guys.
Yeah, because Arizona did not pick up the 5th-year option on Isaiah Simmons.
People was jumping up and down talking about how great Arizona drafted that year. And now, you got people, Arizona drafted good. Okay. On paper.
Piece of paper don't win championships. They don't.
The most important thing is, and this goes for both things. whether you jumping up and down talking about how great your team drafted or how great any team drafted and what they're gonna do because they drafted so well. And then on the other side of the spectrum is the people who look at team, man, they had a stupid draft. That was dumb as hell. Oh my God, that was dumb. This guy sucks. Or whatever. You don't know until they line up and play it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The thing is, when it comes to drafting, also, it's more to it than just saying, okay, I drafted this player, I drafted that player. Your coaching, the coach that whoever coaches that position has to develop the player. So, like for example, New England. I like what New England did at pick 17, getting Christian Gonzalez, who I felt like was the best corner in the draft. Okay.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back to that, but put a pin in next. I want to come back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Nah, we're gonna talk about it. The DB's coach has to make sure that Christian Gonzalez develops to the cornerback they want him to be on the NFL level, and the Bill Belichick and whoever the defensive coordinator is has to make sure the system is perfect for him to be successful. So you have to develop him. The scheme has to be the right fit for him, because a lot of teams, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people don't know. Offensively and defensively, you just draft a player, but he doesn't fit what you're trying to do. There's a difference on offense between running a lot of power and running a lot of outside zone. On defense, there's a difference between 4-3 and 3-4. And coverage on defense, it's a huge difference between middle field open type defense, which would be like cover 2 or cover 4, and middle field closed type defense, which is like cover 1 or cover 3. So it's just a lot of nuances at each position, defensively, offensively, schematically.
I was about to say schematic. Is this person the scheme fit?
Yeah.
And at the same time, because that's important, you got to be a scheme fit.
Yes.
For whatever your team runs, because you can go draft a guy and he's great, but does he really fit your scheme?
Right.
But at the same time, there are some players that are just clearly better than others, which brings me back to the point I was making. You got some head scratching moves that were made in this draft.
Yes.
Some teams took a player that value was not there. Is what I would refer to as a reach. And this player might be great, but either one, you had other needs that were more pressing.
Yes.
Or 2, this guy doesn't fit your scheme. Or 3, this guy would have been available later in the draft, even if you still wanted him. He might have been the best guy in his position. And yes, it might have been a position of need, but at the same time, you don't take him that high. It's like you literally paying Mercedes-Benz prices for a Toyota Corolla. Okay, it's a 2023 Toyota Corolla, but it's a Toyota Corolla.
Exactly.
And you paying Mercedes-Benz prices for it. So there are some teams that did some, reaching.
Like the Detroit Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back, they reached like crazy. Now, I understand, they wanted to trade DeAndre Swift, and they were successful in doing so, trading him to Philadelphia. But at the same time,
we're gonna come back to you to your question again, Sam, later on in the podcast. Thank you for asking. We definitely gonna address that.
They could have used like a safety in the first round. Now they got a safety in the second round, but they could have used one in the first round.
Who's that?
Detroit.
Yeah, well, now here's the thing. That's another thing you have to consider is the depth of the position available in the draft. So that's why we didn't see the first safety come off the board to the second round.
That's true too.
And Brian Branch. So because there was a wealth of safety, defensive backs, period. Because I was beating the table for the last few weeks talking about defensive backs. Right. But definitely corners. But you have one need that's over the other. Prime example: Atlanta Falcons took Bijan Robinson.
Right.
That's an example of what are you doing right there, because you already have some good running backs there. Okay, that's the first thing. All right, I got some good running backs. Yeah, Dallas Shoemaker was in the second was a reach, even though he's a solid. Right. Okay. So that's an example. So let me hold on, Brandon.
My bad. I'll go back to it.
Yeah. I'm going to making my point about reaching.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Bijan Robinson, hands down, is the best running back in the draft. Hands down was. No question. I'm not debating that. That's not what my point that I was making. But the Atlanta Falcons taking Bijan Robinson where they took him in the draft was you remember the Fantastic Four?
Right.
You remember Mr. Fantastic?
Yes.
He could stretch.
Yes.
That's what the Falcons did right there. Because one, it wasn't a direct position of need.
It really wasn't.
And two, yes, I understand Bijan Robinson was the best running back in the draft, but it wasn't a position of need. No. And then two, y'all know how I feel about running backs. I feel like you can grab great running backs after the draft. You don't even have to either day 3 or after the draft.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was a wasted pick. But then when you want to talk about value, guys that basically had a first round grade that you might have grabbed in a second. Prime example, Brian Branch. So we circle back around and talk about Brian Branch. We talk about Joey Porter Jr. going to the Steelers. What was that at the end of day 2, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah. The guy is a first round grade. That's great drafting because of the where this guy is and where he's projected to go, and then you grab him way later. I give a prime example. Joey Fisher, undrafted free agent tackle out of Shepherd, little known Shepherd University.
Right.
Mel Kiper, even though nobody really listens to Mel Kiper anymore, Mel Kiper projected him to be picked 99 for the San Francisco 49ers in the 3rd round. The 49ers signed him as an undrafted free agent.
And you guys can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
cool.
Tristan.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, but we're talking about value. Grabbing a guy that is projected to go high, and you grab him way down. Because one, it has an effect on what you pay him. So that affects your cap.
Yeah.
And then what you can your leverage with that player down the line, because it's like, okay, well, we took you in the 5th and 6th round. Yeah, but I was a first round. I was projected it, but we took you in the 5th. You fell to the 5th. You went undrafted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when you take a guy that high, when it comes time for contract talk, he's got leverage. Hey man, I'm a first round draft pick. Now you didn't draw the market up for no reason on a player. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying Bijan Robinson's a bad player, but I would not have taken him that high. He was taken in was he top 10, wasn't it?
He was picked pick number 6 or something like
number
that.
6.
Number 6. Yeah, no sir.
First of all, I'm mad that they give him Bijan number 7 because I feel like that's disrespectful.
Ooh.
I didn't even know about the jersey number.
I didn't know about the jersey number either.
He's wearing number 7.
What?
Tristan came in here choosing violence from jump. I
feel like that's disrespectful. I understand all the stuff that happened, but listen, Michael Vick experience was like none other.
Dude.
And I don't care what happened. You do not let anybody else wear that number in an Atlanta jersey.
And my thing is, hold on, I'm sorry to cut you off, Tristan.
Go ahead.
He paid his debt to society.
That's okay? Right.
He did his time for whatever for what happened.
Yes.
If you're a person like me and you and probably Eric, you have forgiven him and you have put that behind you.
Yes.
I have forgotten all about that until you said they gave Bijan Robinson number 7. And it's like, what's the purpose of even doing all that? No. You know what? Atlanta, look, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Atlanta Falcons can lose some fans with that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but
I didn't know that either.
just to comment briefly on it, yeah, that's kind of out there. But you reach for a player and then you're gonna give him number 7, and it's like, and again, you putting a lot of weight on this man's shoulders.
You really are,
because it's like, okay, you gonna be the savior of the Atlanta Falcons. We drafted you high, we gave you number 7. You gonna have to go out there and do it to death.
Can I interject with a football comment about this?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I wanted to get that cultural thing out the way because I'm still irritated by that. But football wise, Eric, I absolutely agree, because this is what's happening. What you're saying by picking Bijan, knowing that you had other holes,
especially on defense,
other holes.
Yes.
On your defensive side, and there were prominent defensive players at the number 6 pick that you could have gotten. You're saying that Bijan is supposed to be your LaDainian Tomlinson.
Hey, Demarion.
That's what you're asking. And if when I see a running back that's selected that high, you're telling me that the expectation is that he has a Hall of Fame talent.
Yes.
Because the shelf life for running backs are so short.
Yes.
If you're picking that high for a runner, even big head scratcher for me is with the Lions picking a running back at 12.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. We was talking about him a little bit.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know how I feel about running backs.
I know that, but Tricia making a good point. You expecting these guys to have Hall of Fame? You expecting a Barry Sanders type career? You expecting LaDainian Tomlinson type career? Marshall Faulk type career?
Yes, even an Adrian Peterson to a lesser degree.
Yes,
those are the careers that you're looking for.
Yes,
and we haven't really seen a running back like maybe Adrian Peterson, as far as in my recent mind, that has lived up to the hype of being picked so high.
Because
the jury's still out with Saquon. We don't
know.
We saw what happened with Zeke. So this is not something that happens. I understand that running backs, there's generational talents of running backs that come around, but they don't come around as often as they're trying to make it seem.
That's right.
If he was drafted in the 20s, I'd have been okay with it. I'd be like, all right, cool. Because I know he's a great talent. You draft him in the 20s in the first round.
Man,
I know he probably feels to reach, but I take it though. But in the top 6.
Yeah, we mocked Bijan Robinson after 20. Like, I had him mocked at 21 to the Chargers.
Right, and I think I had him to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now I had mocked him. Crazy enough, I had mocked him number 6 to Atlanta, and but I wasn't. I mean, it's not like I something I knew. I was just trying to be a little crazy with my draft. So, but basically, when Bijan Robinson steps on the field, the first play, from that point on, he's going to have to play like a top 2 running back in the NFL, and not just for one season. It's going to have to be for 10 plus years, and running backs don't last past. They start breaking down to the age of 28, 29, 30. So
he got to give them a strong 8 years at minimum.
Yes, he's going to need 8 years minimum, and he's going to need 12 years maximum at least.
Yeah,
and so
potential to threaten for the MVP. You need all that when you draft him that high.
Yes,
that's what you're looking at.
And
over 2,000 all-purpose yards.
Yep,
all that.
All pros. Forget Pro Bowl. All pros. First team All Pro.
Yes,
that's a lot. And you gave him number 7.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure on Bijan Robinson, and the thing is, when it's all said and done. Now, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's not. It's just going to collapse. It's not going to work.
And I'm sure I can speak for all of us. We all want these kids to be successful.
Of course.
We respect quality football. We want them now. Of course, we got to respect the team. But we respect good play and we want them to succeed.
Yes.
But when you put that unnecessary pressure, you're asking him to change life. You do realize in the Atlanta fandom, with everything that's happened, even with the Matt Ryan era, the Julio Jones, Michael Vick's Atlanta jersey still sells. That number 7 is just it's engraved in Atlanta fandom. So to put that on another player, you're saying he's next. He's the guy. That's what you're selling the fans.
You know
So-
what? I hope I can find a Falcons fan, but go ahead, Eric.
So let's talk about some other head scratching moves because we gonna gradually ramp up to probably the bruh moment of the draft.
Uh-oh.
But for right now, we're working our way up. Bijan Robinson's there. The next one I have is the Washington Commanders
Oh,
drafting
Emmanuel Forbes.
Emmanuel Forbes when they had Christian Gonzalez, who is arguably the best corner in the draft,
Still sitting there.
available to them.
Yes.
Just sitting there.
can I start this off?
Yes, go ahead.
Listen. And the reason why y'all can't see my face, I'm driving. I'm using GPS on mine. But when I was watching the draft, but I had my daughter, so I was playing around with her and all that stuff. I'm watching the draft, right?
Right.
And then I realized, I said, wait a minute. I realized around the 13th pick, I said, Christian Gonzalez has not been taken off the board. I said, could it be that he could fall to 16? Now,
And for those of you who don't know, hold on a second. For those of you who don't know, Tristan is a devout Washington Commanders fan. So he's
Through and
speaking
through.
from a place of knowledge. Go ahead,
Through
Tristan.
and through.
I said, do you mean to tell me that the number 1 rated corner all season has fallen in our laps? We didn't have to give up anything. And so I'm just salivating at the thought of it. And when the pick went in, and it was Emmanuel Forbes. Now listen, as a fan of the Commanders, Emmanuel Forbes, if you ever get to listen to this show, pray you do. I'm gonna speak that in existence. I want you to do well, brother, for the sake of my team. I really do. Okay? But this is one of those moments where I feel like Ron Rivera, Mayhew felt like they were smarter than everybody else. We see some coaches that make decisions and they just think they're smarter than every other coach in the league. They're smarter than every other scout. They're smarter than every other coordinator. I don't have a problem if you said we're going to take Joey Porter Jr. over Christian Gonzalez, because at least I heard about Joey Porter Jr. At least I knew, okay, he a stud, and maybe for y'all scheme, maybe it works a little better. Okay, I'll take that. But to give me a guy that I never heard the name until that night, until the pick came in, and you're trying to sell to me that he's the best corner? You're saying, oh, he's a turnover machine, 14 interceptions, 6 pick sixes, and I get it. It's in the SEC. I get it. But
my issue is that he's 6'1" and 166 pounds.
He is 106 pounds. He'd be 175 pounds soaking wet with dumbbells on his ankles. I am in a division that has to see CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, see these mammoth tight ends. I mean,
You play the NFC West next year as well, so he's gonna have to try to tackle DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel.
These mutant receivers that I gotta check, and I'm relying on 6'1",
166
to play man against these other receivers. When I had
I want to see him press DK Metcalf at the line. That's
a 6'2", 200-something pound corner that could fly, sitting there.
Yeah, so that's
and it's not just one game or 2 games. You have to do this for 17 games now. If you make the playoffs, you got to add more games. And look, we have seen bigger football players, not just at corner, but just any position, name the position. We've seen bigger guys' bodies break down.
When you
And during the 16-game season.
when you have to have more than one press conference to explain your number 16 pick,
Oh,
when you have to have more than one press conference to explain to the fans why this made sense.
speaking of press conferences to justify a pick, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm going next.
If you pick Christian Gonzalez, we're celebrating. No one's questioning nothing. Just tell us what his jersey number is so we can go buy it. No question. If you took Joey Porter Jr., even though I kind of like the fact that he's going to play for his daddy's team, I think that's kind of cool. But
Yes.
if you picked Joey Porter Jr., no one's going to question. We're going to say, tell us what his jersey is. We're going to go buy it.
Yes.
You want me to put my faith. We already know you're not going to re-sign Kendall Fuller. We already know that. Okay? Now, St. Baptiste's been solid for us, but we know he's not a bona fide number one. So you're really telling me that this guy Forbes is going to be my number one shutdown corner going against these mammoth receivers. And they're talking about, well, the way his body's shaped, he could put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle. Blah, 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 blah. Is that going to mess with his speed?
Even if
He
you
won't.
put-
He
if
won't
you
be a
put on
4-3
20
anymore. He definitely will not be a 4-3 anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Is that going to mess with his twitchiness? Because what y'all trying to sell me on about him is what could possibly go away if he adds the 20 pounds. So then what is he if he's not a 4-3?
Or close to 4-5, really.
So then what is he? So then what? Because I did not hear this in the SEC. We watch these teams every weekend. Anyone that is a top prospect from the SEC, we hear their name. We
Yes.
know who they are.
Yes.
There is no hidden gem in the SEC. If you're a top prospect, we're going to know who you are. I never heard this man's name until they announced it for the 16th pick for the Commanders. So someone has to explain to me how this makes sense. Why do you feel that your staff was the smartest of all 31 other NFL team staff that pegged Christian Gonzalez to be number one corner?
Tristan is on one tonight,
Go
but
ahead.
I understand because I'm finna go next.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh, here we go. Hold on.
Oh,
Hold
now
on.
we
Hold
can
on.
go ahead.
Now, Eric has definitely has a moment for y'all with the San Francisco 49ers.
Lord Jesus. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the San Francisco 49ers did not have a first round pick because this is the last year without a first round pick because they traded that pick for Trey Lance, who they trying to railroad out of San. That's another story. They didn't have a second round pick because they used that rightfully so for Christian McCaffrey. I don't have a problem with them trading that pick. Christian McCaffrey panned out just fine. I'm not even tripping on that. So they had their first pick was at 99 at the end of the third round with a bunch of compensatory picks that they got from different coaches going in this, that, and the third. Okay. So everybody knows San Francisco had needs at safety. They had needs at corner. They had needs at offensive line.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, okay. So they get on the board. Well, first of all, they traded up, and when they got to 87, I believe, and picked Jair Brown. Nothing wrong with that pick. I'm not knocking that pick. I think he's a solid player at that pick. That was cool. But then at pick 99, the 49ers selected Jake Moody. Jake Moody is a kicker, ladies and gentlemen. They used a top 100 pick on a kicker. Granted, he's probably the best kicker in the draft.
And kickers are important.
But he doesn't play downs.
Nope.
Okay? Most of your good kickers start coming around about pick 5, pick 6. I mean,
mean round
excuse me,
5, round 6.
round 5, round 6. And you find some good ones that are undrafted. They
Yeah.
selected a kicker
Yes.
Third.
in the 3rd round, a top 100 pick on a kicker, and then proceeded to have a press conference
4 seconds.
justifying why they picked that kicker. And I'm sitting up here like, and y'all know there's a in our chat group that I can't say it here on YouTube, but in our chat group, I always randomly come into our little Marco group and I say expletive John Lynch. That's and y'all always go, why are you so hard on John Lynch? I said, because John Lynch does something stupid about every 2 years.
You said he was due.
And I said, he's due for something stupid. It's coming.
Every
Mark my
2
words.
years.
I started saying this around February.
Yes, you
And
did.
y'all was like, what? Why are you tripping? I said, he about to do something stupid.
You said he was
I
due.
guarantee you Jake Moody would have been there in the 5th round. If you just had to reach for a kicker 5th round, I kind of would have been like, okay.
Actually,
There
To be
is
hon-
nothing you can tell me that's going to make me say, oh, okay, about that pick in the 3rd round. Now, they're saying, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said, well, you know, we kind of thought he'd have been there in the 4th, so we didn't want to him to slip away. You got 2 other picks in the end of the 3rd. Okay, that's the first thing. The 49ers didn't have a 4th round draft pick, but guess what? You know what smart teams do? They trade back. Okay, if you think he's gonna be there in the 4th, if you don't have a pick in the 4th, trade back to the 4th.
there you go.
Pick up some more picks. Because here's the thing: 49ers for about the last 3-4 years have been geniuses from the 5th round down. From the 5th round to undrafted, most of those guys hit. So there's no shame in trading back
Nope.
and getting some more picks in the 5th round, in the 6th
Hey.
round, in the 7th round. And guess what? A lot of times those guys hit. Jawan Jennings was a 7th rounder. Missed the 3rd down for the 49ers the last couple of years. Elijah Mitchell was a 6th rounder. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Drake Greenlaw, 5th rounder.
Drake Greenlaw was a 5th rounder.
Yes.
Man.
They draft well in the latter parts of the round. So, okay, in the latter parts of the draft. So why don't you, if you thought Nick Moody was the kicker, was going to be there in the 4th round, don't take him in the 3rd. Trade back to the 4th and pick up more picks. So this, hands down, was the bruh moment of the draft. Bruh, what are you doing? I was in my living room flipping over tables. I was like, are they serious?
Hey, did
they
you break
really?
your TV?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not a Cowboys fan. But I was literally like, and the thing about it is the rest of the draft was not that bad. Those are quality picks at where they picked them at. Okay. But no, Titus. There's nothing you can say that's going to make me say, oh, okay. Because all I know is he better be able to kick a ball from Santa Clara through a field goal that is on Mars. That's all I know. For that high of a pick, that much of a reach, that much of a plastic man, Mr. Fantastic type of reach, he better be able to do that.
Who is the
Robbie
highest?
Gold doesn't want to be a 49er no more. I understand you want another kicker. That's great. I don't have a problem with the fact that we picked a kicker. We needed a kicker. I don't have a problem with it that is Nick Moody. He's the best kicker going into the draft. But where, again, Toyota Corolla, that's what you got, and you paid basically Mercedes-Benz, BMW prices for a Toyota Corolla.
Hey, Trisha, what's your question?
Who's the highest?
We lost him.
Okay, I think his question is going to be who was the highest kicker ever drafted. I think it was when the Raiders drafted Janikowski in round 1.
Seabass.
Back in, that was 2000 or 2001-ish, somewhere in that range. Janikowski was drafted by the Raiders, and that's when I think Gruden still might have been coaching them.
His
at
first
the
step
time.
in with the Raiders.
And Al Davis was alive as the owner. So yeah, Janikowski was drafted by the Raiders, I think 2000, 2001.
And Janikowski was the man. And I give him that. Nick Moody
had
is
leg.
going to have to be the man sitting next to the man if he's going to justify where he was drafted.
Janikowski had a leg.
Yeah. But Nick Moody is going to have to justify where he was drafted. He's going to have to, I mean, yeah.
Basically, he's going to have to be almost a perfect kicker for field goals, and not just close, but like even 50+ yard field goals. He's going to have to hit 94% or higher on long distance field goals, 50 yards plus, and he's going to have to kick for y'all for about 20 years and be a Hall of Fame kicker, Hall of Fame type kicker.
Okay, so I'm gonna get off of that because I'm still pissed off. But I'm gonna start. We're gonna talk about who we think is our steals of the draft for certain teams. I really like John. I did a whole profile view on this guy on our TikTok page. If you don't know, go to Just a Fan Pod on TikTok. Follow us. We always make comments about that. You can interact with us throughout the week. But Jartavius Martin it was like the Commanders said, okay, we do kind of realize that we basically didn't really get it right with this Forbes pick. So we're going to go back behind that and we're going to go get a guy that is a high value defensive back. And Jartavius Martin is that guy.
Yes.
And for them to get him, I think they got him in the third, if I'm not mistaken. That's
Second.
kind of why I had it. He's in the second
round.
They I don't want to call it a reach because of what he's capable of doing. This is a guy who can play on the outside. He can slide inside and play the slot. He can play strong safety in the box, and he can play deep middle safety. He runs a 4.46. He's extremely versatile. So wherever there is a deficiency, let's say Forbes ain't what he's supposed to be, or he just gets broken in half because he's 166. You can actually stick Quan Martin. Quan is his nickname, but Jartavius Martin over there on the outside in a pinch. He's that good. He can play on the outside. He can play safety. He can play in the slot. That type of value cannot be overlooked. That's my high value pick of the draft. Tristan, what do you got? Is he still there?
I think he's still there, but I think he's having sound like he
okay.
might have.
Well, you go, Brandon.
Sound like he's having audio trouble. We'll get back to Tristan when we can,
and then we'll take some questions and comments from the viewers after this.
Y'all got me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was in a blind spot. My bad.
No, you good. Brian Branch, safety, I think from Alabama to Detroit is also was a good steal. Alabama, since Saban took over as head coach, has been fantastic with DBs, especially at the safety position. Ha Clinton Dix was a good free safety, especially during his time in Green Bay. Landon Collins was a good box safety. It's just Washington overpaid him like crazy, and Tristan finally agreed with me after a while. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a fantastic safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Eddie Jackson for the Bears is a good safety as well. So Brian Branch should be another good safety, and he's up there in Detroit. I needed to add some DBs because that was a weakness for them last year was DB, and now I think with the offseason free agent signings they've made, and now we're drafting Brian Branch in round 2. I think that defensive back has been fortified for the upcoming
that secondary is solid. And Brian Branch, now here's the thing. I go keep blowing my horn for Jartavius Martin. Brian Branch is also extremely versatile. He's a safety, but he can play in the slot. So he kind of fits in that Jimmy Ward mold. The type of player that the Houston Texans are getting with Jimmy Ward.
Yeah.
So that he can move around. Will he be as good as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? No, but they got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, so it doesn't matter. But now you talk about a Brian Branch, a Kirby Joseph, and a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Man.
All three of these guys can play safety, and two of them can play corner in a pinch. So
I'm interested in seeing what that defense is going to look like with DBs like that. And Brian Branch, and that's another thing too. Being on the Nick Saban. Saban, his background is more so defensive backs. So because of that, and he used all coverages in Alabama, and they know how to handle any and almost all route concepts, wide receiver route concepts. So Brian Branch is not going to have a huge learning curve being a rookie DB back there in Detroit.
No, he's going to play day one.
Yeah.
I think they're going to find a way to rotate because they have a plethora of DBs that can start, but I think it's going to be some type of rotation going on in Detroit. And quiet is kept. And, I don't want to give any spoilers, but because our next shows that we'll be doing in the following weeks will be covering each division and who we think will win. I think Detroit has a good chance of winning that division.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Detroit's been creeping on the come up since 2021 when they lost to Baltimore off a 66-yard field goal. They hit the crossbar when they tied the Pittsburgh Steelers. And last year they got better with the draft picks they made with Aiden Hutchinson at defensive end. They got another defensive end in the fourth round. Then they got wide receiver Jameson Williams, who needs to stop being a dodo head, and I'm saying that nicely. But Detroit has more than likely is going to end up winning that division. I don't have anybody beating them right now.
Yeah,
if they play at the level that they played at. I'm sorry, Tristan. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I was saying, because I don't think the Bears did enough in the draft for me to say, like, they can take a little more aggressive, seeing how they traded out of that number one pick. I thought they would have been a little more aggressive in the draft, but they weren't.
Yeah, I don't even remember who they drafted in the first round, because I felt like their pick was just okay. Darnell Wright, offensive tackle. So yeah, they need to protect Justin Fields. That's a good pick for them, but I felt like the rest of the draft for Chicago was just meh. You know what I'm saying? It didn't stand out to me to sit here and say, okay, Chicago took this draft seriously, and took the next step. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, and without going into any further into that, because we're gonna do a whole show on that later on in the coming weeks. But that was my value pick. My value pick was Jartavius Martin to the Commanders. Brandon's value pick was Brian Branch sliding to get to Detroit. They're already good secondary. Tristan, did you have your value pick? And then we'll take some questions from the viewers.
I'm trying to think. I don't have my notes in front of me. Just go ahead. If I remember it, I'll come back to it.
Okay. Well, look, we have a lot of people in the comment box, which we absolutely love. So Brandon's gonna put up some questions that came up earlier, and we're gonna just go down and we'll address them.
Yep. Sam.
Go
ahead.
I'm so sorry. It hit me. Kincaid going to Buffalo was an awesome pick by Buffalo.
Why?
Kincaid going to Buffalo was an awesome
pick. I don't want to hear this answer. Yeah, this is.
Here's the thing. One of the things that frustrated me about the Buffalo Bills was that they had a boomer bust mindset. Okay, you're either going for big, going for broke with Stephon Diggs or Gabriel, or you're not going for anything.
Oh, you talking about play by play?
Yes.
Okay. I think I see where he's going with this, but keep going.
Having Kincaid, one, gives you a legitimate threat, but it also gives you sustainability to sustain drives. It's kind of like how the Steelers had to do it a couple years ago when their running game, before Najee came along, when their running game was consistent. A lot of dinking and dunking, they was able to maneuver and get down the field. That was kind of their run game. So until Devin Cook's brother, and I say that purposely because until he makes some noise, he's Devin Cook's brother. Until Devin Cook's brother takes another level to give a consistent run game, Kincaid is going to provide that chain moving type of player for Josh Allen, so it doesn't always have to be boom or bust. He's going to get them sustainability in the middle of the field, play by play.
Now, Tristan, I hear you, but
I know where you're going, Brandon. Go ahead.
What happened with Dawson Knox, who
There you go.
who he just gave a big contract extension to?
There you go.
My thing, and look, before you answer the question, I'm not against 12 personnel, okay? I'm not. But you just gave Dawson Knox that contract extension, so what happened with that? What's going on with him? You telling me now I got a tight end. Matter of fact, I got a lot of resources at tight end position, and I like the tight end position. Trust me, I do. I got nothing against tight end position. As a matter of fact, you guys told me last week, do not take a tight end just to be the number 2 guy, because I said I'd send Michael Mayer over to Jacksonville.
It was a deep tight end class, yeah.
With Evan Ingram is. So now you're fine with Dalton Kincaid going to Buffalo, but it's almost sound like to me it's the same thing.
Look at McDermott, what tree he comes from. That concept of that two tight end, that 12 set, that's what he wants to do. Why does he want to do it? You're asking Josh Allen to not be Superman. You're going to run it and simplify that offense. Now,
let me get this from Brandon.
About that is Stephon Diggs probably going to be upset if he's going to get less targets. But that's what they run. That's what they want to run to take some off of Josh Allen, that he doesn't have to be Superman all the time.
Okay, Eric, go ahead, because I hope Eric, hold on, Eric. I hope you're going to say what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. You want to run 12 personnel,
right?
Do you want another tight end? That's cool.
Yes,
but why are you reaching in the first round for something like that when you know that you have other holes? To me, it was a reach. I don't have anything against the player, but we know that this is a strong tight end class.
Yes.
It's a deep tight end class.
Yes.
Kincaid probably would have been there in the second round.
No, he wouldn't have been in the second round. But
or you could have grabbed any of these tight ends.
And it's in round 2, round 3.
Because there's a bunch of that was something that went undrafted that's playing for some teams right now. They got invited to camps. That were really good tight ends.
Yeah. So my thing is, yes, Dalton Kincaid is a fantastic tight end. He can run down the seam. But one, you gave Dawson Knox that big contract extension, which tells me you shouldn't have gave him that contract. And 2, if you felt good about giving the contract, then taking a tight end in the first round should not have happened. You could have gotten something else on defense, because be honest with you haven't really made a splash move to still compete with Cincinnati, to compete with Kansas City, and to be legit in the division. Matter of fact, you was the one that brought it up in the group that said, hey, Buffalo, if I'm Bills Mafia, I'm concerned because everybody else in my division is making serious moves, and we haven't really done anything to really move the needle. So
and just now, the Jets
Dalton Kincaid may move the needle a little bit, and I'm talking about very little. But that shouldn't have happened in round 1. You should have made a round 1. Hold on. You should have made a round 1 move to counter everything. A lot of stuff that happened within your division between New England, Miami, and the New York Jets, and then you could have gotten your tight end in round 2, 3, or 4.
Especially since it's tight end 2. This is not this is not your tight end alpha dog tight end. This is your tight end 2.
Right. So Buffalo, to me, if I'm Bills Mafia, and I don't care where I live, because I ain't got to live in Buffalo to be Bills Mafia. If I'm Bills Mafia, I need someone to explain to me, just like how they had to explain to Washington about Forbes, how they had to explain to San Francisco about a kicker. You need to explain to me about this Dalton Kincaid pick. I'm sorry. I'm 12 personnel, fine. But you the one that told me, one, they didn't do nothing on the offseason move the needle, and two, you told me last week don't take a tight end 2 in round 1 after I said I was going to do it.
That's a reach.
I
That's
agree.
definitely a reach.
Everything.
So,
And one more thing too. Sean McDermott, yeah, but he's more of a defensive minded guy. That might have been more of a Ken Dorsey move, one, and yeah. So
I'm telling you, the idea around Buffalo.
I know what the idea is. I'm not knocking the idea. What I'm saying is something is not right in Buffalo. And after this show, I'm gonna have to look at Dawson Knox's contract because I'm gonna sit here and say, well, you gave this man all this money, and I think you just gave him the man all this money last year.
I'm telling you, the whole point is for Josh Allen to not play Superman. That's the whole point. Because what they looked at last year was it was either boom or bust.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something right now, and then we're gonna move on because I want to get to his questions and comments. I'm gonna say this: they ain't doing nothing to move the needle, and Diggs is still gonna be upset when the smoke clears.
He's gonna be upset because he's gonna get less touches.
He's gonna be upset. He's gonna be upset because Buffalo ain't gonna be what they're supposed to be in that division. That's why
Aaron Rodgers.
They about to take a. You talking about taking a step back? Hey, you know the old saying: 5 steps forward, 10 steps back. Oh, they about to go 10 miles back. Get ready for that.
Aaron Rodgers is with the Jets.
Vic Fangio is in Miami, and we're gonna see. I'm not promising anything, but we're gonna see what Bill O'Brien does as offensive coordinator in New England. So,
and Aaron Rodgers is with put the comment up, Brandon. Because
what was that comment at? Hold on, give me a second. So
Sam Power.
Yeah, here we go. Thoughts on Packers trade Aaron Rodgers for first round 13. So
it took too long. That's the first time.
Basically, they pretty much swapped first round picks this year. But Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, like I said, that right there moves the needle. I like what they did with their first round pick and taking Will McDonald in the first round. I think he's a heck of an edge rusher.
I didn't understand it.
Why? Talk to me.
I felt like you could have gotten one of those offensive linemen in that first round.
And now I will agree with you on that one. I will. But Will McDonald, as he broke the Big 12 record for most sacks in the season, which broke Von Miller's record. But he also did it lining up wrong because Iowa State runs a lot of off front gap control defense. And so he got a lot of his sacks in B gap, and he's more of a C gap player or D gap player. And I'm telling you, with Robert Saleh as that defensive coordinator and that defensive line coach, White Cotton, I think is his name. Will McDonald should definitely thrive in New York as a defensive end with the Jets. But I will agree with you, Tristan. They should have gone offensive line.
So let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the fallout that's left behind. Because I believe Sam is a Packers fan and he really doesn't care about the Jets. He probably hates the Jets. But the fallout of what's left behind in that void that Aaron Rodgers leaves behind in Green Bay.
Quarterback. We got
because you don't know what Jordan Love is.
And the thing is, today was the final day for teams to give out the 5th-year option. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option. They gave him a contract extension. And so what I feel like it is they kind of front-loaded the money, but they're protecting themselves on the back end because they're saying, look, if you perform well, you earn this front-loaded money, and then we'll give you another follow-up contract extension.
Yep.
But if you fail, you got a decent amount of money, but we can just let you go on the back end.
So here's what I'm thinking. Here's what my mind is. They traded. They swapped first rounders this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps for the Jets, they get the Jets first round draft pick next year.
Next year, yep.
So I think Jordan Love is an experiment. They didn't renew his 5th-year option.
Yep.
So by doing so, it's like, okay, this is your last year to show and prove.
Mm-hmm.
You got 1 year, son. You got 1 year. Next year is a quarterback-rich draft.
Yep. And Tristan, trust me, Tristan has been driving this thing home for the last 7 months.
Don't be shocked if Jordan Love doesn't pass up, because I don't think either between the Packers and Jets, I don't think they'll be bad enough to be able to get a Caleb Williams. But the Packers will be in play for Drake May, the quarterback from North Carolina.
Hey.
Or they could trade for a quarterback that's already in the league that's playing.
Yeah, because guess what? There's going to be some veterans available, because it's always going to be veterans available. It's supply and demand, yes, but it's always going to be quarterbacks available, whether it's veteran or rookie.
So Sam, to answer your question, I think that the Packers are just trying to tread water this year. Now, if Jordan Love hits, then great. They'll give him a new contract. But you got the quarterback from Penn State. But
that's like pick number 149. Unless you expecting him to be something special. Unless you expect him to be something special, trust me. Green Bay will be looking at quarterback next year in the first round, or some kind of free agency or some kind of trade.
Provided that Jordan Love doesn't just,
right, exactly.
Like a fool, all of a sudden, because it could happen. It could.
Yes.
It could. It very well could happen.
Yes.
So to answer your question, just hold on, because what they did in this draft, what the Packers did, was they basically fortified all the other positions of need. So there's going to be a team, whoever the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers is, there's going to be enough of a team around him to be successful.
Yeah, because they add another wide receiver, they add a tight end, not in round 1, and they giving Jordan Love every opportunity to be successful this year. Every opportunity to be successful this year.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to another comment.
Let's see. There was another question. It was asked, so what do you guys think about the draft overall?
I think it was interesting. I think you came in a little bit late. What was that, Demarion that asked that question?
Yeah, that was around 9:37.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it was a good draft. There were a lot of reaches. We discussed those. There were a lot of great value picks. When I say great value, I don't mean Walmart brand. I mean, like, there's a lot of good value in some of the picks that were made for guys who had a higher grade but got taken later. So those teams are smart enough to reach up and grab those guys. Not reach up, actually, but just, hey, they fell in my lap, which takes me back around full circle to talking about New England. New England had no clue. I guarantee you they did not think that Christian Gonzalez was going to fall in their lap. That card went up to that doggone podium so fast when Washington passed on Christian Gonzalez. That thing, man, look. They was like, oh, wait, hold up. They didn't take Gonzalez. Man, put that card up there and sing, let's go draft Gonzalez. They didn't think he was going to be there.
Look.
I guarantee you Belichick didn't think Gonzalez was going to be there.
Look, unless something happens, I'm expecting New England to pick up his 5th-year option when it's time, and I'm expecting them to give him a contract extension when it's time. That's my expectation. I'm just waiting for the announcement to happen.
He's going to be the next great corner coming from New England.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ty Law, Asante Samuel. They brought in Darrell Revis the off season.
One defense player of the year for them.
Corners.
They know their corners.
Oh yes.
Hey, you know what that old saying is? How many corners do you need?
More. And guess what? And you know another reason why they might know corners very well, because Belichick and Saban are tight. And I just finished telling you about Saban, how he is with DBs. I'm sure Belichick always talks with Saban and talks about all these players coming out of college. I'm
Okay.
sure.
So let's go to another comment. Let's keep it rolling.
This is who do you think had the best pick? I mean, I think we covered that. But is there anybody else any other pick y'all like?
Who had the best pick?
Yeah.
That's kind of broad considering there are over 260 picks.
Yeah. Kind of hard to.
That's kind of hard. That's kind of a broad question, Demarion. You're gonna probably have to like make that question a little bit more concise and specific.
Yeah.
But you know, we can say on paper that this team had a great draft and this team had a great draft and this team didn't. But at the end of the day, you still got to line up and play the games.
Yeah, you do. And like I said, you have to develop the players because development doesn't stop just because you get to NFL. Development is still 365 days a year, and they got to be the correct fit in the system, and you got to make sure that they're lining up correctly for them to succeed. Because just because a defensive lineman was very successful in college, there's a difference between lining him up in a 7 technique versus a 5 technique versus a 4-eye technique. So,
or asking a defensive back who played a whole lot of cover 3 in college and was good at it to play man most of the time.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, if you get somebody out of scheme, and that plays a lot to them. I've watched, you know, we watched a lot of football in our years, gentlemen, and we watched guys get drafted by one team. They're not a scheme fit, and they're just kind of mid. They become free agents. They go to a team that fits the scheme that they're best at, and all of a sudden they're Pro Bowlers. We've watched this happen so many times, and it can happen again. Hopefully, you know, by now teams are smarter, but of course there are always teams that are dumb, that do dumb things. So, you know, like the Chargers drafting a receiver that can't catch. But leave me alone.
Hey, look, Quentin Johnson from wide receiver from TCU, man. Hey, Justin Herbert, I feel sorry for Justin Herbert, man. He has a head coach who's defensive minded, and the defense is trash. You have 2 wide receivers who can't stay healthy, unfortunately, and then you draft this tall receiver who can get down the field. But he's gonna have butter, oil, baby oil with glitter on it for hands. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad for Justin Herbert, man. They are literally about to waste his career.
So let's go to another question. We got a few more minutes. We can get maybe 2 or 3 more.
What do you think the Texans are missing now, or what do they have to do to be better?
A bona fide receiver.
Yeah, they need an alpha dog receiver.
They didn't try to get one. If you draft your young QB, you got to give him some toys.
Yes.
And he has plenty of toys, but not the big ones.
Right.
He need big ones.
Yeah, he needs big toys. He has.
I
don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. He doesn't need Family Dollar toys. He needs he needs a Toys R Us back when it was open.
Right.
And then to answer that question about what are they missing at this point, they're a young team, experience.
That's good. Yeah,
experience. Yeah. Let's be honest here, and I've said it before. Houston wasn't that bad of a team last year.
No, they weren't.
No,
they really weren't. They were close. They were in a lot of the games that they lost, and I think this year they were scrappy. And I think this year coming, the Houston Texans this year coming are going to be like the Detroit Lions were this past season. That's the line of progression. I think they're going to be a team that's like, okay, if you sleep on them, they will kick your tail.
Yes.
They're going to lose some games,
yes,
but they're also going to win some games they weren't supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be that good. When I say that good, I don't mean necessarily, you know, going to the playoffs or anything. However, because this division is so weak, they still have a legitimate chance to possibly challenge for the division. This is not a good division we're talking about. No. We got a rookie quarterback in 3 of the 4 teams. in that division.
Yeah.
So this division is wide open. So yeah, Houston said they have a legitimate shot at it. We'll see. They got a good coaching. The GM actually acts like he knows what he's doing for a change this time. So hey man, you could really see something shake up in the AFC South this season. That's up for grabs. The big dog right now is Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is still growing. So we'll see.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions or comments, let me make sure. Give me a second.
While he's looking, make sure that those of you who commented, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell, because that'll let you know when we go live every Tuesday, which is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. roughly Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yep.
But also tell a friend. Okay, hey man, these guys kind of know. Yes, Cleve, you're absolutely right. The AFC is a soft division, but make sure that you tell a friend, you subscribe, and they subscribe, because we're trying to get our subscribers list up.
We're trying to get to 200, y'all. We're trying to get to 200.
We're trying to get to 200,000. That's what we're trying to do. But
200 million.
That'd be great too. But, we also can be found throughout the week. You can find us on TikTok. We go in, we make videos and discussing recent things that have happened in the NFL. That's usually to kind of tide you over between the main meal, which is our podcast right now. But we're on TikTok at Just a Fan Pod. We're on Instagram. You can hear our podcast on Spotify, Apple,
Google and Apple.
Google and Apple Podcasts. And then you also can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. So,
and Twitter account.
And we do have a Twitter account. So make sure and find us. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit like and hit the notification bell.
And also share this stuff. Share it. I mean, all you gotta do is hit the share button. You can share it off of Facebook. You can share it off of YouTube, and send it to somebody.
Yes, please share it. Tell a friend. I know a lot of guys that are in the comment box. You got friends who like football. Invite them on to the show and say, hey man, these guys know what they're talking about. And they just fans, just like us. That's what we do. We just fans. You're just fans. We love to talk about football.
All right, so there was no more comments or questions. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Down below, Trish TV, the quarterback that runs this whole thing, and trust me when I say,
we can actually see him.
Trust me when I say that, okay? That direction, panel 316, the defensive-minded guy that sees everything on the football field. Trust me, he knows how to diagnose it, and he keeps it going. I'm the Wildcat quarterback, quarter host that runs this thing. NFL Encyclopedia, Coach Williams. Good night, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
And we will see y'all next week.